and welcome to our second webinar series entitled Enhancing Good Governance, a webinar on best practices, happening today, March 28, 2025. And we are thrilled to bring you an insightful and engaging discussion on governance excellence right here via Zoom, Facebook Live, and YouTube. So I'm Joshua Carl Barcelona from Ateneo de Nagas University Graduate School, your host for today. We have an exciting lineup of distinguished speakers and thought leaders who will share their expertise, experiences, and actionable solutions to foster a culture of integrity and efficiency in governance. So get ready to learn, engage, and be inspired as we work towards a more transparent and people-centered leadership. Don't forget to join the conversation. Drop your thoughts, questions, and insights in the comment section, and let's make this an interactive and meaningful discussion. But before we begin, let's first remind you of our webinar guidelines. So for our webinar guidelines, this event is open to public with free registration. The webinar can be accessed exclusively live via ADMU Center for Local Governance Facebook page and Ateneo CLG YouTube channel for both registered participants and other interested viewers. For registered participants, kindly leave a comment. I state your name from your academic institution and or affiliation, have registered and present on your preferred viewing platform for your attendance. We are highly encouraging to post your questions through the comment section while the presentations are ongoing. The moderator will be acknowledging your questions and address them to our speakers during the open. Please note that we will only be issuing certificates to those who have registered, attended, and completely filled out the evaluation form at the end of this activity. We'll be releasing the link of the online evaluation form at the end of the webinar. Please give us time to prepare your e-certificate sent via email. And those are our webinar guidelines. With that being said, let us now begin our second webinar series for 2025 on enhancing good governance, a webinar series on best practices. As they say, good governance is the cornerstone of sustainable development, accountability, and citizen empowerment. In today's rapidly changing world, local governments face the increasingly complex challenges that require innovative solutions, collaboration, and the exchange of best practices across borders. It is in this spirit that the Ateneo de Naga University Center for Local Governance, or ADNU CLG, proudly presents Enhancing Good Governance webinar on best practices. As a follow-through event, this webinar builds upon the momentum of the recently concluded webinar on replicable practices, which showcased the 2024 Seal of Good Local Governance, or SGLG awardees from Camarines Sur 5 Bicol, where award-winning municipalities and cities have demonstrated exemplary governance, setting a high standard for transparency, accountability, and public service excellence at the local level. Now we expand this conversation beyond local governance, bridging insights and best practices from Indonesia, Japan, Taiwan, and the Philippines. This global perspective provides an opportunity to examine how different nations approach governance challenges, implement innovative solutions, and foster citizen participation. In this session, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, from Indonesia, Japan, and Taiwan will share their insights and experiences in implementing good governance strategies that have led to effective public service delivery and community empowerment. With a sideline of panel discussions also together with our representatives from our partner institutions from the Philippines. Participants will gain valuable takeaways on citizen engagement, transparency, and innovation, all essential elements in fostering a governance framework that is responsive, inclusive, and sustainable. And to open the webinar series, let me call on the director of the ADNUL Center for Local Governance, the dean of the Ateneo de Naga University Graduate School, and the public relations officer of ASPAP Incorporated. A virtual round of applause to Dr. Malu C. Barceliano, PhD.
I am pleased to welcome you all to this online activity entitled Enhancing Good Governance, a webinar on best practices. This is being organized by the Ateneo Dinaga University Center for Local Governance in partnership with the Association of Schools of Public Administration in the Philippines, or ASPAP, led by its president, Dr. Mitchville Rivera, of the Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Valenzuela. Also with the Philippine Society for Public Administration, or PSPA, led by its president, Dr. Ederson Tapia, and the Eastern Regional Organization for Public Administration, or EROPA, also led by its Secretary General, Dr. Alex Brillantes Jr. As we all know, good governance is crucial for sustainable development and economic growth. This is true for all countries, and its stability has a significant bearing on its governance practices, though challenges remain in strengthening institutions, promoting transparency and accountability, and combating corruption to achieve a more prosperous and equitable future for all. This webinar, which aims to create a platform for learning from our esteemed resource speakers in the field of governance, will highlight how it is practiced by 3 Asian countries, and we are fortunate to bring together in this session the high-caliber resource persons, namely Dr. Masao Kikuchi of Meiji University of Tokyo, Japan, Dr. Agus Pramosinto of Universitas Gadjah Mada of Yogyakarta, Indonesia, and Dr. Jose Chu Chen of Tunghai University, Taichung, Taiwan. They will share with us good governance practices, specifically how Japan has implemented reforms emphasizing shareholder accountability, transparency, and independent oversight, including the Corporate Governance Code, and as well as promoting ESG, or environmental, social, and governance factors, and technology and corporate operations, and how Indonesia emphasizes principles of transparency, accountability, participation, and responsiveness to improve public services, reduce corruption, and increase public interest, and how Taiwan demonstrates good governance through stable and liberal democracy with a free press, independent judiciary, and a vibrant civil society. With the practices, a reflection on how we're setting things in the Philippines can also be done by each of us. So let us have an interactive learning session this afternoon, and allow me to end by sharing this line from Kaya Natin, Movement for Good Governance and Ethical Leadership, citing that good governance is not passive. It requires active participation. Embrace transparency, demand accountability, and empower progress. It's our duty. And so with this, I formally welcome you all to this activity. Again, marhay na hapon sa Indogabos.
Thank you very much, Doc Malu. So this webinar is made possible through collaboration with esteemed organizations dedicated to the advancement of public administration and governance. Starting with the Philippine Society of Public Administration, or PSA, the country's leading professional association that fosters the development of public administration through academic research, networking, and policy advocacy. And on behalf of President of the Philippine Society for Public Administration, SPA, Dr. Ederson D.P. Tapia, I'll be reading his message for our activity for today. Distinguished guests, esteemed partners, colleagues in the academe and in service of the public, good afternoon. It is with profound gratitude and a deep sense of shared vocation that I greet you today. Important convergence on enhancing good governance, a webinar on best practices. On behalf of the Philippine Society for Public Administration, I extend my heartfelt commendation to Ateneo Dinaga University and the Association of Schools of Public Administration in the Philippines for their leadership in creating this vital space for reflection and exchange. As we convene across geographies, learning from the experiences of Indonesia, Japan, and Taiwan, we are reminded that the quest for good governance is both timeless and evolving. It transcends institutional boundaries and demands from us a renewed commitment to relevance, equity, and responsiveness. In this spirit, I am reminded of the Minnowbrook tradition in public administration. First convened in 1968, Minnowbrook called for a new public administration, one that is not only efficient, but also socially conscious, participatory, and justice oriented. That call remains alive. In fact, the face of emerging complexities, digital transformation, polycentric governance, and deepening inequalities, the Minnowbrook ethos challenges us still to rethink practice, to engage with communities, and to ensure that our systems serve not the few, but the many. Thus, our gathering today is not merely a webinar. It is an intellectual and ethical undertaking. It is an invitation to deepen our understanding of governance not only as a structure of rules and institutions, but as lived experiences shaped by culture, context, and community. We are called to listen, to learn, and lead with a renewed consciousness of our shared humanity. In the examples we in the examples that we will hear from our distinguished speakers, from the democratic innovations of Taiwan to Japan's administrative professionalism to Indonesia's local governance reforms, we encounter not prescriptive models, but living practices that challenge, inspire, and expand our imagination of what governance can be. These practices remind us that good governance is not simply a matter of efficiency or compliance, but of cultivating trust, enabling voice, and ensuring that the machinery of the state upholds the dignity of every person. In this light, let this webinar serve as a continuation of that broader Minnowbrook conversation. A search not only for a better administration, but for a better world, one where scholarship is practice, and practice, in turn, refines and grounds our theoretical commitments. As president of PSPA, I reaffirm our society's commitment to fostering this kind of dialogue, critical, cross-national, and deeply engaged. And I express our collective hope that what we begin here today will echo in our classrooms, our institutions, and most especially in the lives of the communities that we serve. Maraming salamat po, and may this gathering be a source of insight, solidarity, and renewed dedication to the enduring promise of public service. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the message of Dr. Ederson D.P. Tapia, the President of the Philippine Society for Public Administration, or PSPA. We also have the Association of Schools of Public Administration in the Philippines Incorporated, or ASPAP, a network of higher education institutions committed to advancing public administration and governance through instruction, research, and advocacy. Let's hear the message from the President of the Association of Schools of Public Administration in the Philippines Incorporated, or ASPAP Inc., Dr. Vil A. Rivera, PhD.
Good afternoon, everyone. Marhay na hapon po sa ating lahat. First, on behalf of the Association of Schools of Public Administration in the Philippines, or ASPAP, we wish to extend our sincerest gratitude and congratulations to the Ateneo de Naga University Center for Local Governance led by Dr. Malu Barceliano and the entire team for the successful conduct of this highly anticipated undertaking on enhancing good governance, a webinar on good practices as we explore effective governance strategies and practices. I would also like to acknowledge other partners of this activity, the Philippine Society for Public Administration, led by President Dr. Ederson Tapia, and the Europa, led of course by its Secretary General and our mentor, Dr. Alex Brillantes Jr., and to all our esteemed experts, international speakers, colleagues, members of the faculty, practitioners, dear students, and to all those attending this webinar. Let me start with a quote from George Shaw, that imitation is not just the sincerest form of flattery, it's the sincerest form of learning. Today's webinar is with high importance as we all learn on the invaluable insights from our distinguished international speakers and hear from them the best governance practices from the perspectives of Japan, Indonesia, and Taiwan, that can be replicated or relate upon in the Philippine context. This is also a good opportunity for us to reflect vis-a-vis the current situation that we are experiencing as we navigate the uncertainties and complexities of governance in the local context. As Dr. Alex Brillantes emphasized in his book, Innovation and Excellence, we need to think global but act local. The importance of globalization and together promote innovation, excellence in public service, and good governance. All the best to all of us, and we are all excited to participate in this engaging webinar that will definitely ignite our passion, not just to enhance, but to champion good governance. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas, Diyos mabalus po sa ating lahat.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mitch Bill A. Rivera, PhD, the President of ASPAP Incorporated. So we'd also like to extend our gratitude to Eastern Regional Organization for Public Administration, or IROPA, a prestigious international organization dedicated to strengthening governance and public administration across Asia and the Pacific through knowledge sharing, policy development, and capacity building initiatives. Thank you very much, IROPA. And now we have set the stage with insightful introductions. And now it is time to move forward to the highlight of today's event, the discussion on best practices in governance, in good governance, featuring our esteemed international speakers from Indonesia, Japan, and Taiwan. And so to begin, it is our honor to introduce our first speaker, who will share valuable insights and experiences in promoting governance excellence. Let us all listen and attentively and engage in this meaningful exchange of knowledge. Our first speaker finished the Australian National University's PhD program in 2005. He is currently a professor in the Department of Public Policy and Management, Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Universitas Gadjah Mada. Local governance, decentralization, and public sector reform are among his areas of study and research interest. He has authored some books and journal articles about bureaucratic reform and public policy at the State Ministry of Administrative and Bureaucratic Reform, and he is currently serving as a special expert as well. Dr. Agus is now the chairman of Indonesian Association for Public Administration, or IAPA, and president of Asian Association for Public Administration, or AAPA. Ladies and gentlemen, a virtual round of applause to Dr. Agus Pramusinto, PhD.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Din Malu Barcelano from Ateneo Tenaga University, and Dr. Ederson Tapia, President of BSPA, Dr. Misvile Rivera, President of ASPAP, all speakers, Masao Kikuchi, Jose Chen, all discussion, Alex Brigante, Antonio Ricardo Tejada, and also Chris Percy, and of course all webinar participants. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and of course it is an honor for me to contribute to this interesting webinar conducted by Center for Governance, Ateneo de Naga University. And let me share my PowerPoint here. So is it okay for the presentation here? So the theme that I want to share is enhancing good governance, the Indonesian experience. And this theme of good governance has become an interesting discussion among government practitioners, donor institutions, civil society, and academics in the last 15 years. This cannot be separated from the rapid development of the world that affects the functioning of the government. And we know that there is widespread democratization and public demands related to policymaking that must be participatory and transparent, and also the use of resources that must be efficient and accountable, and program implementation that must be effective, and of course the public services that can be accessed fairly. If we are talking about good governance, there are many definitions of good governance. According to the World Bank, you can see that good governance is the exercise of political, economic, and administrative authority to manage a nation's affair at all levels. And then we can see also the definition by Rhodes and also Chair. Governance refers to self-organizing inter-organizational networks characterized by independence, resource exchange, rules of the game, and significant autonomy from the state. And governance also defined as the setting of rules, the application of rules, and the enforcement of rules. I see the debate on good governance is now getting wider. The first related to the actors. So far, good governance has involved three main actors: the state, civil society, and the private sector. The question is, what kind of relationships between actors and is expected? What is the position of each actor? Is the state actor the most dominant, while the civil society actors is in a smaller and subordinate position? On the contrary, do you want the state to be in a small position where the other two actors play a big role? Of course, we have to look for references to countries that have succeeded with how big the state is compared to the private sector and civil society. Do we want the best government is to be a small government, or do we still want the state to play the biggest role? This actor debate also becomes heated when we also witness that the state is not a single entity, because there are elements of the central, provincial, district executive, bureaucracy with very diverse sector variations. And not to mention, if we talk about actors, with the emergence of global actors such as the World Bank, donor institution, regional organizations such as ASEAN, or global ones such as the IMF and WTO. So this is the picture of global governance. The actor is not only three, but also involve ASEAN, and then donor agencies like UNDP, donor from India and from Germany and so on, and also World Bank, IMF, WTO, and so on. Of course, there is homework that must be formulated by each country that has a different political system. Then the discussion of good governance can also enter the arena of principles of values. We can take the principles developed developed by UNDP, as many as 9, starting from participation, rule of law, transparency to strategic vision. But there are those who prefer to quote the values of good governance by taking what is written by the Washington Consensus, consisting of fiscal discipline, public expenditure prioritization, and then tax reform, liberalization of trade, and then liberalization of foreign direct investment, privatization of state-owned enterprise, and so on and so on. The debate that often occurs is the emergence of two groups, namely the bureaucrat groups who are always optimistic that good governance can overcome all things if the government is more participatory, transparent, and accountable, and also the law is enforced. Then there is another group, the NGO group, that is very anti-good governance because they consider good governance to be just a cover for developed countries to create a free market and trade liberalization and privatization of state-owned companies in developing countries. They want to weaken developing countries and eventually control everything. Now, allow me to convey some practices for improving good governance in Indonesia. The first is the Bandung Digital Valley, which is an incubation and accelerator center designed for MSMEs, or micro, small, and medium enterprise. This is aimed at promoting digital-based businesses, and this BVD provides a platform for MSMEs to access technology, training, and business mentoring. The reason behind the program is that many MSMEs have great potential, but are limited by access to technology, also digital knowledge and wider markets. And this initiative aims to introduce digitalization to MSEs so they can grow faster in the digital age. And its implementation, BVD offers digital training to MSMEs, such as digital marketing, financial management using apps, and how to leverage technology for operational efficiency. Accelerator program at BDV also provides MSMEs with funding, market access, and also business capacity building to scale up their businesses. And how is the result of this program? Many MSMEs have successfully optimized digital marketing, improving their visibility through e-commerce platform and social media. Some MSMEs that were previously operating locally now reach national and international markets. And let me show one example. For example, Tenda Biru. This is a company that manufactures local fashions products. And after joining the BDV's accelerator program, they successfully expanded their market using e-commerce and digital marketing strategies. Now let's go to Jakarta Smart City. Jakarta is a special region. It's the capital city of Indonesia right now. The Jakarta Special Region implemented various e-government platforms to facilitate access to public services for its citizens, such as the Jakarta Kini, application, which allows the public to access various services from local government digitally, including submitting permits, paying taxes, and reporting complaints. With the apps, there is now increasing transparency, efficiency, and accessibility of public services to an increasingly digital savvy society. The goal is to reduce complicated bureaucracy and speed up the service process. The Jakarta provincial government initiated the smart city concept by utilizing information and communication technology to integrate various government systems such as transportation management, waste management, and security management. The Jakarta Kini platform was launched to provide various public services online where the public can access information about public services, report complaints, and pay local taxes. Now we can go to Jakarta City. The we call it SILAP, or Sistem Informasi Layanan Terpadu, or Integrated Information Service System, which is an application designed to integrate various administrative services that are usually carried out at the village office, such as submitting KK is kartu keluarga or family card, and KTP is like identity card, to various business permits. And what is the reason? The reason is to improve the quality of services by simplifying administrative processes and reducing dependence on face-to-face meetings and complicated bureaucracy. In addition, Jakarta wants to increase public participation through easier access. What about the implementation process? The Jakarta City Government launched an application-based digital platform to integrate services from various sub-districts and districts. And this application allows residents to access file submission status, public service information, and make appointments with long queues. And the result is faster and more transparent service processes and reduce queues at government offices, increased public awareness and participation in managing public administration. However, we have challenges faced. The first is we have dependence on unstable internet connectivity, especially in the outskirts of Jakarta. And second, not all people are accustomed to have access to digital technology. So further education is, of course, needed. And the fourth case is Bandung Digital Waste Management System. In Bandung, the city government introduced an innovation in waste management through a mobile-based application. And this app allows citizens to report areas with poorly managed waste and monitor garbage collection schedules. The app also educates the public on how to properly sort waste and encourages active participation in waste management programs. And with this system, transparency in waste management improves and the city becomes cleaner. Now let me show you several other good governance improvements. I have no time to explain more. I just want to show that there are at least 5 we can learn. The first is Palembang City. It's about a complaint system for public grievances. And then in Medan City, they have a program on strengthening public services with government chatbot. And then in Makassar City, they have e-voting system for improved accountability. And then in Denpasar City in Bali, they have a transparency app for development projects. And we also have Bandung Juara app. It's about e-commerce for MSMEs. So that's my points. Hopefully, they can invite discussion in this afternoon webinar. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat po. Arigatou gozaimasu. Xie.
Thank you very much, Dr. Agus. Thank you very much for that very informative and comprehensive talk on the innovation in public administration in Indonesia. So it encompasses more on the strengthening of public service and, of course, digitalization. Again, thank you very much, Dr. Agus Pramusinto, PhD. Without further ado, I will now introduce the second speaker for our webinar series for today. Our second speaker is a professor of public policy and management at the Department of Public Management, School of Business Administration at the Meiji University in Tokyo, Japan. He has published numerous articles in international and Japanese journals, such as Public Administration Review, Asian Review of Public Administration, International Public Management Review, Environmental Policy and Governance, Lex Localis, Journal of Local Self-Government, and others. He also contributed chapters and maps in political patronage in Asian bureaucracies, Handbook on the Politics of Public Administration at the Cambridge University Press, International Handbook on Civil Service Systems, Handbook of Public Administration in East Asia, Local Governance in Japan, What Happened, The Waning of National Public Service, and others. Our speaker serves as editorial board member of International Review of Administrative Sciences, International Journal of Public Administration, Public Organization Review, and others. He is an active member of IROPA for the Future Plan and under the Future Program Committee Chair, AAPA Board of Directors, and others. Ladies and gentlemen, our virtual audience, a virtual round of applause to Dr. Masao Kikuchi, PhD.
Thank you very much for all your nice introduction. And I'd like to share with you the slide that I will use. This and hope you can see the slide now. And thank you very much for this wonderful webinar event. And my special thanks to Dr. Maru Barusilano and my good friends, Agus and Jose Chen, Professor Jose Chen, Alex and Chris and others. And what I'd like to share with you another 20 minutes is the best practices was the question in good governance from a Japanese perspective on collaborative local governance. As Agus have shared some very interesting case studies in the city administration, and I also would like to share with you some interesting case best practices experiencing of Japan. And before I start, just for our the theoretical considerations that about the collaborative local governance. What is the collaborative local governance from a theoretical perspective? It is a both tradition and new issues, and the collaborative governance involves the government, community, and private sectors communicating and working each other to achieve the goal that any one sector could achieve by themselves or on its own. It involved the government and process orientation rather than the result on consensus and management and delivery issues. This is more like a broad theoretical definition. But the point is that the collaborative governance more on the process oriented and the goal sharing the activities and others. And the distinction from the small government approach or new public management approach in the collaborative governance, expected laws and activities of government in the policy making process or in service deliveries may be transformed. But unlike privatization or new public management perspective, it requires new capacity to coordinate and harness stakeholders for shared goals. So the role of the government may not be diminished or may not be shrinked. Rather, it requires new capacity to coordinate and harness those for shared goals and to make sure to deliver the target outcomes. So basically, it is a new capacity challenge for the local governments. And why we need to have this kind of the collaborative governance. The second I'd like to share with you the socio-economic challenges of Japan. And I am very much confident. I am sure that the Philippines, Indonesia, and Taiwan is actually leading Japan, but will follow our footsteps in socio-economic transformation, especially the population structures issues. Japan is facing aging society and depopulations. In last year, 2024, more than 29%, 29.3% population in Japan is age 65 years or more. So the senior citizen is getting major, while the youngsters is getting minor in terms of the population structures. More and more seniors, and as a result, as of January 2024, population in Japan is around 124.8 million. and which is more than 530,000 decrease from the previous years. So the Japanese population is shrinking, and also the Japanese population structure itself. We have more seniors the senior is getting bigger and bigger in the total Japanese population. What makes this situation is getting more complicated is that there is a regional disparity in these situations. My university, Meiji University, is located in the center of Tokyo. But Tokyo has still enjoyed the kind of the flow of the population from from the rural and the local area to Tokyo. So that we do have a lot of the youngsters, but when you go to the local area, rural area, the situation has been changed. Some communities in the local area in Japan, more than 50% of the population in that community is 65 years or more. So the majority is the senior. So senior community is getting more and more, especially in the rural and the local areas. So as a result, some experts predict that the varieties of a local community in danger of extinctions with the color yellow colors. We do have around 1,300 municipalities in Japan. So around half of the municipalities, 700 municipalities, will probably distinct or will be extinct, meaning disappeared in the near future, probably 2025 and around. So this is the current situation, and I am sure that the Philippines and Indonesia will follow footsteps. Just less than 50 years ago, the late 1970s, Japanese total fatality TFR, the total fatality rate was more than 2.0. Now that our TFR is around 1.2, so just 50 years ago, less than 50 years ago, in terms of the population, the situation was quite similar that both Indonesia and Philippines is now experiencing. So that means probably less than 50 years later, that both Philippines and Indonesia and other countries will follow our footsteps in terms of the social transformation, in terms of the population structure. So this means the less capacity in terms of human capacity and the physical capacity in the local governments. So this is a big challenge, how we need to cope with. So that I'd like to share with the three actually, two case of good practices in collaborative local governance. Number one is the waste management system. That in Japan, the municipality is responsible for the waste management system. So when you move from one to the others, that waste management rule is often changed. And this city, Cebu City, is a small city in the southern island in Kyushu. This city had a challenge, had a kind of difficulty. They projected the landfill capacity reaching its limit in the future. So they decided to make a recycling for a kind of the comprehensive recycling system. What they did was they made a very strict and cooperative rule with when you live in the Cebu City, you have to sort out 24 items of the rubbish. You have to sort out. in many cases that combustible and incombustible or cans or recycling, etc., 4 or 5 would be the maximum. But in this city, that when you live in this city, personally, I don't think I can leave this city. But because you have to sort out 24 items of rubbish sorting in household. This is the actual that the kind of the list, and every household will receive a booklet, or if you move this city, you receive the booklet explaining the system and when and how to dispose the rubbish. And each neighborhood kind of association has recycling support groups who are set up to provide assistance newcomer or to the senior who has a difficulty coping with this role. So with this, this 24 items is the highest item, the highest in number of items you have to sort out in Japan. As a result, more than 80% of the city, Cebu City waste is recycled now, and they try to reach more than 90 now, while the average in Japan is around 30%. Mostly that most of the most of the recycled the waste is cans and etc. But here in the Cebu City, even the used diaper, even the used diaper can be also recycled in this city. So this is the kind, and this is the Cebu City is a quite small community, but social innovation can start even from a small community. In cases, technical innovation comes from the urban area or where the big city, big companies, big tech companies are located. But social innovation can be started from the even small community, in sometimes in the rural. Next one is the evidence-based, not evidence, but the evidence-based policy making, EBPM, in collaborative local governance. This is also the case of small town in Hayama town. Also, again, the recyclable garbage collection operation system. They try to use the randomized control trial to enhance the recycled garbage collection scheme. So most of you may be familiar with the randomized control trial. They randomly allocated 3 different policy choices. And one is the treatment group 1 posting flyer, how to sort garbages. Treatment group 2, today's collection is over, signed board at the and the number 3 is a control group. So in this Hayama town, there are around 160 stations. So randomly assign a different policy intervention, and they find treatment group 1 had the biggest effect, and treatment group 2 had the second biggest effect. But number 1 didn't. The effect did not last long, so they decided to take this treatment group 2, and starting from the small experiments, and they found the outcomes and the solid outcome. Then they try to kind of the nationalize, meaning that in this Hayama town, they try to after the experiment, they try to put this police intervention to around all around the Hayama town. So this kind of the randomized control trial, even small community can use the EVPM was a social experiment. The last case is the early evacuation promotion nudges for heavy rain disasters. In Japan, the local government is responsible for the crisis management or disaster management. I just heard that just 1 hour ago that Thailand, there was a big earthquake in Thailand and Myanmar, and the first responder, when that earthquake or this kind of a natural disaster happen, the local government is a first responder in Japan. And there was the severe kind of the landslide after the heavy rain disaster in Hiroshima. So they start to make a social trial to overcome status quo bias and prevent failed or delayed evacuation. What happened in this Hiroshima prefecture was that when they send a warning, please evacuate now, but not many citizens follow the evacuation request or evacuation order. So with, again, the randomized control trial, they made a kind of social experiment. What will be the best message to make people actually act, to make action? So evaluate to with a social norm gain or social norm loss and evacuation gain, etc. So people has a state bias. Though you receive the message from the local government, it is okay for my area, but then people failed evacuation and may have a causality. So how to, what kind of message was the best message to make people evacuate early is, so they decide after the social experiment, this one, your evacuation can save lives. If you evacuate first, other may follow. So your evacuation first, you have to be a kind of first penguin, then the other will follow. So this is your evacuation can save lives. So here is that most people evacuate because others around them are too. So be the first penguin. So that's then others will follow. This kind of the messaging is now used around in the Hiroshima prefectures. So this is also a social innovation using the nudge or not necessarily the high tech. This kind of the social innovation came from the local area. And the last slide I'd like to share with you that in the previous presentation, August pointed out 9 principles of the good governance defined by UNDP. It's a long list of what you have to do to achieve the good governance. But not all local governments will need to undertake innovative initiatives in the same way. The Grindel once used the term good enough governance instead of good governance. You don't need to follow the long list of principles you have to achieve, but good enough governance is enough. So that once leading LGUs emerge, many others will eventually follow through the policy learning and transfer. And the second point, collaboration may take more time than top-down approach. But however, once a system is established, its feasibility increases, and it tends to be more sustainable than a top-down approach. Top-down approach from the politicians, because once the politicians change, everything is changed. So the collaborative approach, bottom-up approach, may take more time, but it may be more sustainable. And last point, invitation to a learning journey with a forerunner of emerging social issues. Many countries, including the Philippines, likely to follow a similar path in the future that Japan has experiences in terms of the policy, social transformation. So we encourage you to learning from the both success and challenges or the our failures faced by Japan. As it serves as a forerunner in facing and addressing these emerging social issues. And now that the cherry blossom is in a full bloom, so it is a right time to welcome you to Japan. You can learn and enjoy the beautiful cherry blossoms in Tokyo or Kyoto. So I do hope that you will have a chance to learn from our failure experiences, so as you may not to fall you may not to experience you may be able to avoid based on a failure, not only the success but also from the failure. And these case studies are based on my contribution in the private governance in East Asia and also local governance in Japan, which are the books that I co-authors. This one was Alex, and I do hope you will be able to read it for further discussion and for further study. Thank you very much for your attention.
That was a truly engaging and informative session, Dr. Masao Kikuchi, especially when you highlighted Japan's best practices, particularly environmental sustainability and disaster risk reduction, like the Shibushi city management waste management, whereas waste management is crucial in public administration as it directly affects public health and governance framework. So, thank you very much, Dr. Masao Kikuchi. We do hope you're still engaged with our discussion. We are now down to our last speaker for today. Without further ado, I will now introduce our third and last speaker. Our third speaker is a professor at the Department of Public Management and Policy at the Tsinghua University, chairman of the Chinese Society of Administration or CSPA, Secretary General of Taiwan Councilors Forum or TCF, and Honorable President of Taiwan Association for Schools of Public Administration and Affairs, or TASPAA, adjunct or visiting professor at the Development Academy of the Philippines. A virtual round of applause to Dr. Jose Chu Si Chen, PhD.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. And I'm so happy to have this opportunity to meet all and a new friend here, especially our dear moderator, Malu, and also Professor Bramunsindo and Professor Kiuchi, Masao Kiuchi, and our good friend. Maybe we can hear from them later. Three distinguished rector, Dean Burrs, and also Attorney De and our dear friend Alex Brillantes. So thank you very much for this wonderful invitation. Now I would like to share my slide with all of you. Okay, I hope you can see my slide right now. And compared to two distinguished speaker done by Masao and Professor Bramunsindo, I think we share something in common. I believe we all mention I will also mention about the collaboration, and but the cases is different. My cases is just is a single cases. It's about the river revitalization projects. And but although I just mentioned one cases, but I think all those cases are thing in common, like I said before. For example, like cross sector collaboration, including the state or the government, society or community, and the private sector. In my cases, those actors are also very important. And so I would like to begin my my case sharing here. Okay, so this is my outline, and also you can see my case, the picture of the cases. These cases is just located in my campus, Donghai University campus. It was a small creek, and it is also a natural boundary between campus and the living area, and also the industrial zone just nearby in the left hand side of the river. Okay, so I will give you some introduction about the cases. Then I would like to say why these cases is so important and what kind of challenge we have to solve in these cases. And after I introduce you these important challenges, then I will introduce uh, why we have the opportunity to deal with this river channel, and also what kind of a strategy we apply in solving the problems of the revitalizations. It's not it's not easy things to do the revitalizations here, because the issue of the river pollutions exists for actually decades. To be honestly, I was an undergraduate student. I was living in the in the community, just in the, like you can see in the picture, in the in community nearby the campus, also in the beginning of this creek channel. So I realized that the river issues uh, had exist more than 3 decades. But just a couple years ago, we have an opportunity to solve this problem. So I realize this is important cases. By the way, these cases also gain very good visibility because of its huge success. So it become good practice benchmarking cases, and also win a lot um, award from different kind of policy competitions. So after I share with you the strategy, and then I will move to the policy outcomes. Basically, I will show you the before and after, and also I will introduce some connection between these cases and public administration's theories. Then I will come to the section of policy implications. So now I would like to move to the slide here about the case review here. So you can see the picture here in the left-hand side. In the left-hand side of the slide, the picture was took in 1987. At that time, you can see the famous church in the orange color over there. That is our campus. So in the left-hand side of the picture is just a natural mountain. But right now, you can compare to the picture in the right-hand side. Right now, the Donghai University surrounded by the industrial zone in the left side, and also in the top in the top, that area is a living area. So there's there is only one place has no change. That's our campus. So you can see the building, you can see the church in the orange color, and also the other Google map. You can see the campus definitely surrounding by the very high density of a population area. So while there is a creek flows through our campus. Like me in the upstream side, especially the living area is located in the upstream area. So all the pollutions, I mean the wastewater and also the polluted water from the industrial zone all flow into this creek, and it flow from the upstream down to the bottom stream, and it just flows through the campus of Donghai University. So there are so many serious issues. You can see in this slide, the pollution issue is basically the major challenge. But also there are some issues you can tell from the pictures. I try to conclude the target issues here in these cases. For example, I think the water quality improvement is the top number one issue, and it's not only the water quality, but it's also polluted water channel actually will make the air smell quite smell has a bad smelling. So the total environmental quality is not that good in that area. So the second target issue will be environmental education, how to educate uh, diverse stakeholders and enhance their willing to make an improvement step. It's not easy thing. I will give you my explanation later. Third one is a landscape construction, how to improve that area from the past scenes to the to a beautiful scenes and attract people can spend has willing to spend their time in the creek area. Fourth one is about the community building. Because there is a night market in the in the living area. There are so many street vendor and the shop. There are so many business. Those shop owner and the street vendors. They are not local people. In the very high percentage, they are not local people. They don't live in this community. They come here to rent a shop space or begin their business to make money. So they have no belongingness to this community, and it is also make it so difficult to ask them taking the responsibility about for the environment. And that's one. I think that the total overall goal about these cases is we are looking for the sustainable development in the futures. So those are target issue in these cases. How we can solve the problem? Before that, I would like to let you give you some picture to compare the before and after. So this is actually the after the area after the construction. So in the right hand side there is picture you there is a huge filter systems constructions in that area. So we actually try to collect all the wastewater go through this underground filter system. And also in this filter system, we don't apply the chemical equipment for solving the household wastewater, because that kind of wastewater we are looking for the solution to solve the problem in a natural way. But we are looking for the natural way, so that means we need a bigger space for this kind of public engineering projects. So, but in the past, there is no opportunity to find out enough land for this kind of projects. But right now we are lucky. The university are willing to collaborate with the city government. So that's the good beginning, for these cases. So I would like to say it is quite complex. Um, there are so many complex issues in these cases. For example, first one, I think in the past, I told you before, this case is this situation lasts for over like 3 decades. So in the past, there is no collaborative experience between the city government and university, which is a private university, and also the industrial zone. There are so many factory over there. They has no willing, they has no experience. But one of the most important thing is in these cases, actually Donghai University donate. I should not say donate. I would say that provide. We sign the contract with the city government to provide the land for free to become the base uh, for the underground feeder systems projects. So we actually give away about like a 0.3 hectare campus land. So thinking about that in the past, people have no innovative idea. Thinking about the underground project, and also in the past, our university, the board of the university, they have no idea. By give the land away, actually is not a sacrifice. Is actually is also gain the positive outcome for the university. But right now, the mindset has been changed, and the opportunity has was on the table. So we take take the one chance and make this case happens. So that's one thing I think was to mention. Second one is about the lack of financial support. The overall budget for this project is about like 10 million USD dollars. 10 million USD dollars. The city government not has no unable to provide this amount on their own. So actually, they need to apply the budget from the central government. But in the past, there is no subsidy, there is no competitive budget, competitive project providing this kind of resource. But just like 8 years ago, there is a foresight plan from the central government. So they decide to arrange a huge amount for the local government. You can write a proposal to apply the budget to solve the river issues. So at that time, the Taichung city government decided to write a proposal to compete the budget from the central government. But meanwhile, they also has to pay a certain amount on their own. But they do their best. So this is why the case is so complex in the past, because the financial support is not enough. Third one is about community sense. You can see there is a picture in the right-hand side. It's in Mandarin, but I would like to give you an explanation. This is a Facebook group. I right now collaborate with two required class in Dong. The class is in the title of public administration. Is a required class. In overall, there's like 100 students. So I invite my students to join this idea. I established Facebook group, and I asked them to join this group, and I asked them to invite different stakeholder in the living area, because in that area there are so many house owner, there are so many street vendor, there are so many business men over there. According to the city law, if we want to make a business area commission, we have to invite local people, local business owner and shop owner to initiate the commission business area commission by themselves. Donghai University are not able to establish that. We only can be the creator to help them enhance their community sense, enhance educate them. They are the major source of the pollution. Try to inspire them. If we try to make the community getting better, their business will also getting. So it's quite difficult because like I said before, many of them they are not the local people here. Even try to contact them, is so difficult. Because during the business hours, they are so busy, they have no time to chat with you. After the business hour, they are disappear, they are not here. And due to the personal privacy considerations, usually it's not easy to get the contact information from diverse channel. So that's the reason why is the cases is quite complexity. Okay, let me go forward to next one. Since it is so difficult, there are so many issues we want to solve. So there's one opportunity that I told you before. The city government write a proposal to get the financial budget, and the university board has a new member, include a new member, and they bring the new different mindset. So one of our university office leader, he proposed this idea to the university, and after that we come out with a project so-called one university, one stream. That means the one university should protect one stream. By that way, we can expand the influence. So right now, the one university, one stream project already expand to become right now there are 4 universities doing the sensing in different area of Taichung City, and we are the initiator. So the one university, one stream project is going very well, and there are some time schedule here for your reference. Begin in the 2019 and end in the 2021. Everything is going well and stable. So you can see the city female. She exchanged MOU, signed the MOU with the university university president. So this is the overall schedule, but there are some important strategy. For example, bottom-up participation approach. So it's quite similar compared to the face-to-face meeting mentioned by the Professor Bramusindo. And this one is partnership. So we invite so many stakeholder groups to join this project. I am unable to introduce you one by one, but just it is also we share this is also one evidence. We share something in common with the Masao and Professor Bramunsindo's cases. This one is about green engineering. There are some of the new idea introduced by the central government. So in these cases, actually we construct one underground contacted water treatment plant. But many people try to ask me the detail about the technical skill. I would like to tell you, technical skill is not the important thing in these cases, because we are good enough in the part of the technology and the engineering skill. The problem is about the community sense. The problem is about the collaborative experience between government and the community and the city and the for-profit sector. So opportunity and strategy here. So we host so many events to establish the community sense. So here you can see we try to plantation the native tree, and some we do so many things for this area. And our campus is so vibrant. So you can see we always can take a picture about the wildlife. Even some wildlife, they just walk into our building. Okay, so and also the strategy, we need to find out some evidence to support our work is useful to help us to identify where we should do more for the community. So like a family labels, a biotech index, we apply that to more to establish so many monitor spots for the overall ecological. And also the ecological assessment and inspection is a very useful policy tool introduced by the central government. So right now the constructor, they are not only responsible for the construction, they also responsible for the assessment and inspection and the monitor about the overall ecological. Last one, let's go to the policy outcome. There's just couple photos for your reference, because I think the photos can provide very solid evidence to support this project is useful. So you can see some is a white is a ear, okay, it's a ear river ear. So after the water river getting better, different kind of wildlife they come back, and also the monitor camera can take about different kind of wildlife in our campus. So it's so amazing. It's amazing to so many people uh here. Also the water quality is getting better, and you see the frog over there and some wildlife in the street. So hopefully in the future, when you revisit Donghai University, I can introduce you this campus cases. It's not far away. It's a walking distance. So let's go to the implications. I divided it into two parts. First part is about I think the series matters. Many of our students or some younger researcher, they curious about why we have to learn so many public administration theory and concept. Are those serious matters? They can help us to realize the reality of the public administration. My answer is positive. Of course, they serious matter. For example, in these cases, you can see the public-private partnership is important, and you can see how we can apply this the concept in this project. And also we can see so-called cross-boundary management. It also have very easy to see in these cases. And also the community development. So we host so many face-to-face gathering and meeting because we want to establish community sense. And that is also the good way for the public participation and the policy innovation. So that is a theory I think is quite important. Second part is about required condition. If we want to make this kind of cases can happen again in different place, in different area, I think there are a couple of things you have to ensure those conditions in the potential cases. First one, leadership. So we are lucky the city mayor can support this project. We are lucky the university board, they change their mindset, are willing to give the land away for this project. Most of the university board, they are not willing to do that because they're afraid people will give will give them a negative evaluation because it sounds like they are selling the land to other people. So, but we are lucky that the board member has a new mindset. Policy support. In these cases, like I said before, the central government actually make the new policy to provide the support for this kind of project. But the important thing is you have to write the proposals for complete this kind of budget. So the access to the potential resource based on the competence of our public officials. City public officials, they are good. They are working so hard to writing the proposal and revise again and listen to the community, to different kind of stakeholders to make the proposal can be good enough in the eyes of those reviewers. Then that's one is about the sense community. Okay, but the community is not the sense of community is still there is still a long way to go. So that's the reason why we established Facebook group for this matter. Really interested about that, I will introduce you to documentary films for this about these cases. I'm sorry, it's in Mandarin, but maybe just by taking a look at the scenes, then you can realize the difference compare in the beginning and in the end. So that's my best practice sharing. Thank you for your listening, and expect to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chen, for delivering such a valuable and insightful talk today. Virtual round of applause to our three international speakers for today, Dr. Agus Promosinto, Dr. Masao Kikuchi, and Dr. Jose Chu Si Chen. We deeply appreciate your knowledge and expertise you have shared with us today. Now, at this juncture, we now turn to our panel of reactors for their takeaways and reflections on the presentations delivered by our distinguished speakers. Joining us for this insightful discussion are representatives from our esteemed partner institutions. We have ASPAP Incorporated, Ateneo de Naga University, and Europa. Their expertise and perspectives will further enrich our understanding of today's topics. So for our first reactor, Dr. Chris Dean, Associate Professor and Scientist 2 at the UP National College of Public Administration and Governance, or NCPAG, in Diliman, Quezon City. He holds a PhD in Urban Engineering and a Master's in Environmental Studies from the University of Tokyo and Bachelor's in Public Administration from the University of the Philippines. His expertise spans public policy, sustainable development, disaster governance, crisis management, and climate adaptation. He has collaborated with government agencies and international organizations for over 20 years and serves in various leadership roles, including International Advisory Council member for the Center for Asia Pacific Resilience and Innovation in Taiwan, Deputy Secretary General, Eastern Regional Organization for Public Administration, or EROPA, Secretary General of the Association of Schools of Public Administrations in the Philippines, or ASPAP, board member of the Philippine Society for Public Administration and Philippine Academic Society for Climate and Disaster Resilience. A recognized researcher, he has over 25 academic publications and serves as editor-in-chief of the Asian Review of Public Administration. He was the founding director for research at the University of the Philippines Resilience Institute, a core member of the UP COVID response team, and a technical evaluator for public administration at the Commission on Higher Education, or CHED. His latest work is The Climate Emergency in the Philippines, adds to his contributions in governance and disaster resilience. A virtual round of applause to the Secretary General of ASPAP Incorporated, Dr. Christopher B. Berce, PhD.
Thank you, Prof. Barcelona. Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to see a lot of good friends here. But before anything, I'd like to thank, of course, the Ateneo de Naga University Center for Local Governance, especially the Dean, Dr. Malu Barceliano, and also to friends from I can see that our speakers, of course. I'm very much to Dr. Agus, Dr. Masao, and Dr. Jose Chen. No? It's um, thank you for sharing, the case studies that you from your respective countries. So let me go straight into the matter. First off, I'd like to just point out that really all these cases have demonstrated the centrality local governments in our development effort. And as we can see, the the challenges, no, or many of the development challenges that we are facing as a country have been addressed, no, primarily by at the local level, as they always say, all issues are local, and that is true because at the end of the day, the impacts of all of these development issues, be it about social, be it about waste, be it about digital waste or solid waste, be it about environmental management, be it about pollution, be it about MSMEs, all of these things are felt uh, at the local level, and then because of that, it is only it's also those at the local level that can address these problems most effectively. No, for instance, in the case of what I remember from Dr. Agus earlier cases is the dominance of many of the initiatives to help the MSMEs, no, the micro, small, and medium enterprises, and that is highly relevant in the Philippines, especially if you think of the fact that 99.5% of the business establishments in the country are MSMEs, no? And that is as of I mean, that figure has been like that for quite some time now. And in fact, the MSMEs account for 63% of employment in the Philippine workforce and contribute as much as 40% of our GDP. You know, so that's how important MSMEs are in the country. And I'm happy also. I think I could relate highly to the efforts of of the cases, the Indonesian cases, highlighting, progress in terms of facilitating the continued development of the SMEs in the cities. Um, One thing also I noticed, of course, I want to point out that um, the so-called good practices or the best practices in question mark, no, as pointed out by Dr. Masao in governance, they're not really without problems, right? That's they're not simple, and if I may use the chance word, no, they're complex, no, and many of the problems that we have seen are not exactly new, no, but what is really emerging from all the cases, based on the presentations, is the fact that many, if not all of them, were dependent on the spirit of collaboration and cooperation. And by collaboration, we're talking not only of vertical and horizontal collaboration among government agencies, but more importantly, collaboration also and the participation of citizens, no, of the private sector, and in the last case, no, including private university, we have seen how certain problem may look like untenable, but then again, with participation of the citizens and in a private sector, we were able to overcome some of these issues. No? So that's my second point. And then the third point is the fact that there's also a kind of a prevailing tendency when we talk about good practices in good governance, no? And taking into account all these principles that were pointed out by Dr. Agus about, participation, transparency, efficiency, and so on, all principles. Many of these things are facilitated by technology, no? And we have seen that in the examples, no? Yet at the same time, we can also note that there are innovative and good practices, especially collaborative based good practices that may not require that may not necessarily dependent on high technology, you know. And we can cite, if we remember, I remember the cases presented by Dr. Masao, no, in Japan, about the social experiments that were not completely dependent, or that were not actually entirely dependent on the, technology or application. So what I'm trying to say is that while to advance good practices in good governance at the local level, we don't necessarily have to be dependent. That's what I'm getting on technology. But that what really matters is the getting a sense of from all of these different actors, be it at the level of the state, the level of the civil society and the private sector. Now, there are issues, so I will just highlight maybe three issues in the interest of time, or three concerns, no, that I would say when it comes to all of these things about good practices and in good governance. One is the aspect of dependency on technology, and I think as we may all know, or by now, no, technology can dependence on the technology. All of these proliferation of technological tools, no, as of public service delivery can actually marginalize also certain groups, no. Um, Maybe in certain countries where the penetration, let's say, for example, of internet services are not prohibitive or affordable and depend reliable, it's not much of a problem. But let's say in a country like the Philippines, well, we do have already we have made a lot of advancement already when it comes to uh, developments with respect to internet, for instance, access and so on. The penetration rate is still leaves much to be desired in as far as ensuring that we're able to reach out to you know to the farthest sector, reach throughout the country, primarily. So the tendency, the shift, for instance, to electronic services may marginalize certain groups. I think that's one thing that we need to take into account in terms of because in the Philippines, there are also a lot of initiatives already that have been started, by many cities that are quite innovative in a way, including the city of Valenzuela, where Dr. Mitchell Rivera is from. There's a lot of progress on that side also, and many of our other cities and small cities in the country have done some work. But then again, it all boils down also to how do we ensure that no one is left behind, so that all of these services still remain available and accessible and reliable, from the perspective of those who may not have sufficient access. So that's the first point. The second point is something also related to the marginalization, and that is with respect to the government citizen engagement. Because because of this, now that we have created an interface where, for example, you don't really have one that doesn't really have to go to the physically to a particular office or talk to a particular person, a local government official or personnel, for instance, to get to avail of a certain service, or a certain product. There is now that tendency of the impersonalization, the the going away of this kind of engagement between the government and citizen, and may have also some effect on this kind of, the sense of ownership when you're talking, for example, this sense of belonging to a particular city, for instance, because whereas before we get to, ordinary citizens get to establish a kind of a personal relationship with um not that kind of disenfranchisement in a way, because there's no need for a personal interaction anymore, for a personal visit, for instance, to the city hall. That might lead to some kind of a decoupling of that personal relationship that might eventually affect also the sense of civic duty, the sense of civic engagement, of the citizen. My feeling about quickly, especially in certain cultures like the Philippines, where Filipinos culturally we tend to favor interpersonal uh interactions, really, more than just having a kind of uh you're doing everything online, so that might impact also in terms of we build our sense of civic duty or civic engagement, or in the long run. And lastly, I'd like to point out the value of policy experimentation. And we have seen that in all the cases, from Indonesia to Japan to Thailand. I think that's very important, especially nowadays that we are, cities in particular, local governments are facing a lot of issues, global issues, as Sir Alex would say, local issues, global issues that can can only be resolved at the local level. Um, and I think it's all the more important that we approach the adoption of policies in a more or less with some sense of caution, in a way that, because in countries like the Philippines, for instance, policy experimentation is not really that popular. No? We tend to cook up some big policies and implement them across the scale, no? Across the whole country, without really doing something, as some kind of testing first. It's either we do pilot testing. The problem is we don't really go beyond pilot testing, so we just stay with the piloting and nothing happens, right? There's no scaling up afterwards. The other side, that's where, the policy experiment, especially, for example, I remember the two cases from Japan is really quite cool. In the Philippines, it's not that popular, I would say, as part of the policy adoption process. Like I said, we tend to go right into implementation, and in the end, we just troubleshoot whatever the problems would be, or even even if later on finding out that it really doesn't work, right? And also, it from an academic perspective, it brings to point this, for me, it underscores the concept of, or it clarifies the concept of evidence-based policymaking, because there is really, especially in the Philippines, what I have noticed is that there's this misunderstanding with the term. We tend to just throw around this concept of evidence-based policymaking, even equating it with the use of, when you use data, it's already evidence-based policymaking, or when you use information, it's already evidence-based. It's not exactly what we meant by evidence-based policy making if we're talking about it from the perspective of policy, policy transfer and policy reform. It really talks about, policy experimentation, randomized control trials, and so on. But yeah, maybe for us, many of us here teaching public policy or public administration, it's something that we need to be careful about when we start to, throw the concept around about evidence-based policy making. Maybe data-driven policy making, that's okay. But evidence-based policy making is an entirely different monster that we have yet in the Philippines, and really use it as a kind of a valuable tool for testing policies before implementing them at a large scale. So I think these are the points I'd like to raise. I hope I did not take up too much time. Thank you to all our present. Like I said, no, I learned a lot, and also it made me think a lot about the way I do research, the way I teach, and so we hope also this is the same thing for all our participants here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Dr. Christopher B. Bersa, PhD, the Secretary General of Incorporated and the Dean of the National College of Public Administration and Governance, the University of the Philippines. Moving on with our second reactor. Our second reactor is a provincial agrarian reform adjudicator of Camarines Norte, an Ignatian-inspired lawyer serving the farmers by legal services. A round of applause, a virtual round of applause to the Graduate School Faculty of Ateneo de Naga University, Attorney Antonio Ricardo P. Tejada, PhD.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the very interesting and very important inputs and insights coming from the authorities in the field of public administration. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to take this opportunity to share my experience and raise some concerns on a particular government policy which is now being implemented. And I hope that I could solicit the opinions or get the reactions of our respected speaker and the reactors, especially with the presence of our very own Dr. Berse and Dr. Brillantes. This is actually a domestic issue, but it will fall under the collaborative governance as discussed earlier by Dr. Masao Kikuchi. And This is about the policy of the government requiring government agencies and government institutions, including public institutional educations, acquire ISO accreditation. The International Organization for Standardization is primarily composed of business people. This organization actually collates practices in business administration. And thereafter, they would introduce further improvement in the system of business administration. Now, these lessons in business administration are now being infused or even adopted in public administration by way of this ISO accreditation. I have nothing against the ISO, and I am not against the infusion or even the adoption of best business practices into the public administration system. But what amazes me or amuses me is that the ISO accreditation is being presented as some sort of a sure-all, cure-all formula to address the systemic problems in public administration. In fact, government agencies would spend a substantial amount of money to secure or to acquire ISO accreditation. And since this is a continuing process, it means continuing expenses on the part of the government, which brings me to my first query. Do we not have in public administration sufficient lessons or accumulated best practices to guide us in improving or correcting or even eradicating altogether the systemic issues in public administration? Why the heavy reliance on the best practices in administration? To my mind, if or the objective of ISO accreditation could be achieved without the necessary or the corresponding expenses from the government by, just implementing the existing laws relevant to public administration or laws which impact public administration. For example, we have RA 6713, which is about the conduct of and ethical standards of public servants, of the ease of doing business law, together with the various issuances from the Civil Service Commission, which practically cover all the aspects of public administration. So my second query now is, what could be the possible effect of this heavy reliance in best practices in business administration, infusing it into the public administration, considering the different orientation of the two fields? Business administration is all about profit accumulation, and public administration is about the delivery of responsive and quality service to the people. So that is my second query. And the last one, and this is for my continuing education. I am new in public administration. May I seek the guidance and request for information from possibly from Dr. Berse or Dr. Bril, with due respect to the speakers. The availability of studies or literatures delving on the issue of ISO accreditation of government agencies, specifically studies which will show that indeed ISO accredited agencies perform better than non-ISO accredited agencies of the government. So those are the three concerns that I would like to raise and possibly request for the opinion of the authorities and administration. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Attorney Antonio Ricardo P. Tejada. All your questions are being noted, and you could actually forward it to our respective speakers so that they can answer all your queries. Thank you very much, Attorney. Attorney Tejada is my professor in the graduate school.
Thank you, Josh.
Right. And lastly, for our final reactor and last reactor for this segment, he is a professor emeritus of public administration at the University of the Philippines National College of Public Administration and Governance, or UPNCPAG, and the Secretary General of the Eastern Regional Organization for Public Administration, or IROPA, with a distinguished career spanning academia, government service, and international consultancy. He has served as Executive Director of the Local Government Academy of the Department of Interior and Local Government and Commissioner Undersecretary of the Commission on Higher Education, or CHED, where he chaired the Board of Regents of 24 state universities and colleges. Dr. Brillantes has held visiting professorships in top institutions across Japan, Australia, Thailand, France, Indonesia, Taiwan, Hawaii, China, and India. A recognized leader in governance and public administration, he has served as president of the Asian Association for Public Administration and the Philippine Society of Public Administration, or PSPA. An accomplished scholar, he has authorized and edited multiple books and over 90 research articles on governance and development in international journals. He is a recipient of numerous international research awards, distinguished alumni honors, and national service recognition. His expertise has been sought by global institutions including the ADB, WB, UNDP, USAID, Australian Aid, CIDA, ICA, and the EU. Dr. Brillantes' lifelong commitment to good governance, institutional development, and public sector reform continues to shape policy and leadership in the Philippines and beyond. A virtual round of applause to Dr. Alex B. Brillantes, PhD.
Thank you very much, Sir Josh. Grateful to be here, and maybe a very quick response to the very, very, very important question of Attorney Tejada as far as the discipline between public administration and business side. I think we're the same but different. The same in the sense that both disciplines talk about the importance of efficiency and effectiveness, but super different because public administration talks about the importance of public. Who is our public? And when we ask that, you said business ad talks about profit. You're so right. But we in public ad, what matters really is the bottom line is who is our public, and we're talking about people in the vulnerable sector, people in the next generation. We talk about intergenerational equity, and equally important importance of ethics and accountability. But anyway, that will be really a good topic for the next webinar: public administration, business administration, and why we are the same yet different. As my friends in Cambodia would say, we're same but different. Certainly different in the sense that our public administration really talks about the next generation. We talk about the vulnerable, and equally important, something that's non-negotiable. We always should emphasize ethics and accountability. So let me go on by talking, responding to my good friends. Agus, a very good friend of 10 years, so long. Jose Chen, we have this group with you. We brought many of our students to colleagues to your beautiful university, and of course Professor Masao Kikuchi, one of the greatest thinkers for us in Europa. And very, very important. Now I'll make sure I stick to the time. I still about 8 minutes, but really I'll stick to the time in the context of talking about today. It's really all about good practices, innovations, and as Masao mentioned, hey, also see Agus who talk about good practice. We talk about best practices. We talk about good governance, or Professor Meryl Grindel, whom I studied with when I was at the University of Hawaii. We talk about the importance of good enough governance. So sometimes when you say best practices, we can get somehow intimidated. So we talk about the importance of good practices. That's one. So Jose, of course, Agus, a major point that all of you mentioned, and I must mention Dr. Malu. Malu, thank you very much for this opportunity. And we are all alumni, if you may, of our to Jose Chen's beautiful university. And of course, my good friend, one of our outstanding scholars, young scholars, Dr. Berse. It's very good to be in this forum. Okay, so when we talk about the importance of governance, Dr. Agus talk about the overarching, talk about the importance of good governance, and talk about he mentioned, among other things, the importance of digitalization. Yes, we've been to Indonesia. I love you, beautiful country. You talk about the importance of digitalization. And you also talk about solid waste management. I think what is important in the presentation of Dr. Agus is really the importance of digitalization. But let's remember, and as Dr. Chris Berse mentioned, we should not romanticize digitalization. Sure, it's a very, very important tool. But at the end of the day, you have this thing called the digital divide. And you mentioned that earlier, Dr. Agus, that sometimes the internet reception is different in Jakarta as it is in other parts of the country. And even in other parts of in ASEAN, you mentioned ASEAN, there's still that digital divide. And I think it's very, very important to recognize that in the United Nations, they talk about NOLB. NOLB, no one is left behind. And sure, as other countries are improving in digitalization, other countries are being left behind. And that's goes back to my remark for Dr. Tejada, that when we talk about the public administration, let's not forget those who are vulnerable, those who are left behind. That's very, very important, I think. So yes, very important. It's a tool for management, digitalization, certainly, economy, efficiency, effectiveness. But let's remember that there are those who are being left behind. And that, I think, is non-negotiable for us in public administration, because as others are left behind, our discipline in the public administration is that it has to address that. Masao, a very good friend, one of the pillars of Europa, talked about the importance of collaborative governance. And very, very important, Masao, thank you for talking about the importance of aging. And you said, yes, the Philippines and other countries will learn about that, no? Masao, when Masao was just in the Philippines recently, about I think a month ago, and we raised this exact question, no? About maybe within the context of local governance, as pointed out by Dr. Chris, because at the end of the day, as Dr. Chris mentioned, everything is local. And as we have said, local governance is really, I say always, the strongest or the weakest link in the chain of governance. It is the strongest or the weakest link in governance. And it's within the context that we learned from you in Japan about how you at one point, because of your maybe aging population, because of reasons for efficiency and effectiveness, reforms have been done within the context of amalgamation. Countries in Japan have now amalgamated. Question, we can learn that in the Philippines and other countries. No? I think you're doing that also in Indonesia. Sometimes we just love to fragment. We create with local governments. So at the end of the day, are they viable? Or are they really only for political purposes? In the Philippines, we have local governments that are 100 at the village level, 100% dependent on national tax allotment. It doesn't make sense. So we were, Dr. Dean Chris and I, we were with some of our Ministry of Local Governments just the other day. In fact, I was with the Ministry of Local Government for about 6 years. And one of the things we talk about is the need for us to bite the bullet and talk about reform, which is really amalgamation. And thank you, Dr. Masao. That's something that you talk about. But I know amalgamation in Japan has been brought about because of, among other things, the problem of aging society, etc. And of course, the very nice example of Shibushi prefecture about the discipline of your people, sorting 24. Come on. And you said you cannot live in that municipality. Kidding. Even in my own city, when we always sort, it's quite difficult. But the point is, I think I go back to the cultural context. I've lived in Japan for some time also, and really I admire really the discipline of the Japanese people. I can imagine sorting 24, and you, Masao, said you might not even be able to do it yourself. How much more for us foreigners? Can we do it? I don't know. So what? Two things, wet and dry, end of story. But anyway, we should go deeper than that. But the point is, it goes back to the culture, it goes back to the context, it goes back to discipline. And of course, the presentation of Jose Theory. And I think it's a good example of how innovations arise. Innovations arise because of, among other things, knowledge from other institutions, including we in the universities. I think I certainly will not put down the value of we in the universities, because as you said, Jose, theories do matter. Theories do matter. And in Tonghai University, you have proven it. And Tonghai University has been shown about how the knowledge, the science, Dr. Chris Burse is a resident scientist here. The science that is produced by university can find its way into implementation. So at the end of the day, theory and practice, and I think you mentioned that. So in our book, which we call Innovations and Governance in Local Governance, I have a copy here. Some of you might have copies of this, not just to sell it, no, but we have a chapter here precisely on what makes innovation. And we talk about of innovation, I think we come up with certain factors, many of which were raised by you, our colleagues, Agus, Jose, and of course, Masao yourself, and of course, Joshua himself, and Malu. What brings about innovation? And this is very, very important. First and foremost, you have to have the policy environment. Dr. Chris Burse is our expert policy. So you have to have the policy environment. The Philippines, you have the local government code. In Indonesia, Thailand, you have your local government initiative. No, the point in like I said, Thailand, other countries have a local that will enable it, an enabling environment. You have a hospital. Number two, what brings about innovation? I call it in our book with Carl, a triggering crisis. In your case, it's a flood. In your case, maybe it may be aging. Point is that it's brought about because of a crisis, if you may. And of course, in your push against the wall, innovations can really be brought about with or without national government crisis. The COVID crisis really brought a lot of innovations in the national government. We had a very extensive study in Europa and my colleagues in the region and talk about how COVID has really brought about innovations, including challenging authorities, national government, local government. There's been a lot of conflicts, but hey, at the end of the day, crisis can bring about innovations. I'm almost done. Number three, we talk about the importance of local governments, frontline. Local governments are in critical frontline, as Dr. Chris did mention, no? Because at the end of the day, this study is all about governance at the frontline matters. And I always say that local governments are either the strongest or the weakest link in governance. So you at the end of Tip O'Neill who once said, at the end of the day, everything is local. That's why we in this room they are really involved with this continuous study of local governments, and that's so capacity how the government should recognize that there's at the local government, which was shown in this innovation, shown by Agus, shown by Jose, and also shown by myself. And it also brings about what brings about innovation, the role of civil society. Government is not governance is not government alone. We have to involve the people, and that's what I think Agus and Masao mentioned. You have to involve the people. People participate. And lack of resources. If you don't have enough resources, then you are forced to innovate. In this, in so many local governments, they didn't have enough resources, creativeness, etc., etc. And we did say, of course, the importance of leadership. Political will is very, very important as an enabler. And I did mention also digitalization as an enabler. But let's not romanticize digitalization because it can also be a disabler in the sense that others might be left out. Let's not forget the digital divide, something that also do. And profess sectoral participation and and that I think is the strength of public administration. Public administration is multidisciplinary. I'm so happy. Was it you, Agus, or Jose, who talk about the importance of nudge? Nudge is really something from the behavioral sciences. But yes, we nudge people to change their behavior. And public administration is multidisciplinary. We borrow aspects from the private sector. We borrow aspects from other disciplines, anthropology, sociology, etc., etc. So that's the strength of public administration, and that can also be the weakness of public administration. So I think I reached my time, and I should learn to shut up now. But I think it's very, very important. Thank you, Dr. Tejada. Let's organize a webinar on this, a critical look at what is public administration, a look of not just getting things, ISO, etc. Who is our public? And number two, when we talk about the very important and deep presentations of Dr. Agus, Dr. Masao, and Dr. Jose, we talk about the importance of innovation. And at the end of the day, as Dr. Chris mentioned, everything is local, but we there because we as a discipline, we as academics, we as practitioners, somebody say we as academics, we think of theory, but we have to apply this. And this can come out when we try to bring about or respond to our problems in public administration within the context of the importance of innovation. So with that, I'd like to thank you. Congratulations to the great Ateneo de Manila. Congratulations, Maluta. Congratulations, Sir Josh. And to my colleagues, I should be seeing you very soon. I miss you guys in Europa and AAP and Dr. Tejada. Looking forward to having more engagements with you, sir. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, sir.
Kasi manyak. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that very inspiring, comprehensive reaction, Dr. Alex Brillantes. I'm looking forward for our next webinar with you. And of course, bringing about the topic that was raised a while ago by Attorney Tejada. Thank you very much, sir. So now, as we conclude the presentations and panel reactions, we now open the floor for an engaging and thought-provoking open forum. This is an opportunity for all participants to raise questions, share insights, and exchange ideas to our esteemed speakers. So we encourage everyone at this point to actively participate. Whether you are joining us via Zoom, Facebook Live, or YouTube, feel free to send in your questions through the chat box or comment section. Our speakers are ready to address your queries and provide deeper perspectives on today's discussion. So let's make this an interactive and meaningful conversation. And to start off, let's start with our questions that has been gathered during the registration. So at this point, we're going to ask one question for every speaker, starting with Dr. Agus Pramostito. Hello, sir. So let me first give you a background of before I ask you this. During your presentation a while ago, Indonesia, just like the Philippines, has undergone many governance reforms to enhance participation, transparency, accountability, and public sector efficiency, which you have mentioned a while ago also. Learning from your discussion a while ago, the experiences in governance transformation could provide valuable insights in the context here in the Philippines. Now, Dr. Agus, my question is, what is your initial impression of the Philippine standards for good governance?
So, thank you very much. Let me thank you to three discussion, Christopher, Alex, and also Antonio Tejada. And also for the three presenters, I learned a lot about the very inspiring presentation from Asao and also Josie Chen. Let me start with our experience in Indonesia. We have innovation. Actually, after the regional autonomy policy, each regions tried to innovate to solve their own problems. And it seems that there is a kind of positive competition to show the achievement of each region. Before the regional autonomy was implemented in 1999, improvements would only appear if there were sort of instruction from the central government. So innovation did not come from local government, but based on instruction given by the upper government, like a central government. And what we are looking at today is that most improvement in good governance today are more inspired by the use of technology. And almost in every office of the central government, provincial government, and city government, they create applications as a way to improve the quality of service. And what happened was that a lot of budget was absorbed to create apps. That's why the Minister of Bureaucratic Reform recently just prohibited the creation of application. And again, that we often get caught up in digitalization. Actually, technology only serves to help improve services and the goal of innovation itself. Many now are digitizing or digitalizing, but technology is still engineered in a negative way when procuring goods by inhibiting unwanted contractors by disrupting internet connections. That's what is happening until now, today. We are talking about technology, but technology does not improve as long as we do not change the mentality of service. So now it seems that technology will not improve our service because we only use technology just to like actually technology just like accessories, not a real innovation itself. They don't change the mindset of service. There is technology in there, but they try to use it own benefits or their own profit for the bureaucrats. So that's what happening in like what Alex gave comments before that. Be careful with the technology. Be careful with the digitalizations. It's not only about the quality of internet, but also the way we use the technology itself. We still have problem because many are engineered for the sake of their own profit. We just invite our friends to submit like proposal for the procurement, but then if all our friends already submit, then we try to disturb the connection so the other will not, they cannot submit the proposal. That's the problem that we can see in many cases in many government offices in Indonesia, not only in the local government, but also in central government. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Agus. I would just also like to highlight your the concept on technology and digitalization, which you have mentioned a while ago during also your presentation that Indonesia has upgraded to different platforms and inserted and integrated technology and digitalization in all its government processes. As we all know, technology is very essential in good governance as it enhances transparency, participation, efficiency, and citizen engagement. And we also streamline here public services while reducing corruption and bureaucracy. Thank you very much for that, Dr. Agus. Here's the next question. The next question is for Dr. Masao. Dr. Masao?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Afternoon, sir. So here, this question is from the comment section on Facebook. So from Unicasari of DAP, why are information and communication such vital needs in the collaborative planning process? Again, why are information and communication such vital needs in the collaborative planning process?
Thank you very much for like a theoretical questions that why we need to have the information, or in other way, why we should not have the information or communication gap in the collaborative governance, because that unlike the public management or the privatization based public management, where you are bounded based on the contract. But unlike that, in unlike the way they connect each other based on the contract, the collaborative governance needs to have uh, uh, collaborative governance is based on the consensus or consensus building, where you should not have you should minimize the information gap, perspective, and the understanding of the issues both parties are facing, and what are the goals, the shared goals, and etc. So in the collaborative governance, the communication and information has far more importance than the new public management style governance. That's why in my the slide in the initial pages of the theoretical consideration part, I put that the information and communication is far more important in making a collaborative governance. I do hope I answered the question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Masao. And I do believe it was mentioned really a while ago with regards to consensus building. As we all know that information, would like to second your answer and agree with that, because information and communication are essential in public administration and during the collaborative and planning process, especially in consensus building. They ensure transparency, inclusivity, and coordination among stakeholders. So, of different kind of stakeholders, we have the government agencies. A while ago, Dr. Alex Brillante said about civil societies, about the private sector. So, there is really a need of a consensus to actually reduce conflicts and ensure government decisions are data-driven and well-informed. So, thank you very much for that, Dr. Dr. Masao. So for our next question, this question is directed for Dr. Jose Chen. Good afternoon, sir.
Please.
So another backgrounder. So as some of the people know, Taiwan is a leader in digital governance in artificial agency driven or AI driven policy making. So your AI driven public service platforms and the use of technology for participatory governance could actually provide valuable perspectives on integrating the integration of AI into governance framework. So we add components of AI to governance frameworks. Now, my question here is, do you think that the emergence of artificial intelligence would help in shaping a much better framework for good governance?
All right. Very important. Thank you for your question. A very important one, but I would like to humble to say that although we are trying to do our best in the area of AI applications, but there is still a long way to go. Because as I know, right now in the governmental practice, the real application cases are still limited due to several issues. Because public policies affair are highly related to personal right and personal privacy. So although we are able to collect, although we are although we are able to collect so many big data, although we are good in the cloud computation and the AI technology, but there are so many limitations. So right now we are unable to broaden the area of our application. So back to your questions, I believe AI. If we are looking for a better framework, through the AI application, there is a preconditions that we need to allow the so many trials, so many we have to accumulate the enough number of education experience. So far back to our my professor's introductions. There are so many limitations. Right now we are not very good in that, but I can also give you some feedback about what we are good in. What area has a good application. For example, right now we have we use the AI and having the integration system allow the public officials they can input their search keyword, then they can come out with a very structured analysis result. By that way, we can prevent our public officials they get lost in the jungle of rules. And so it's quite efficient. It's also very useful and helpful. Right now, according to the officials' data, they said so far we can do can reach the goal of like 80%. So that is a kind of evidence we can save the time, save the energy, save the budget. So of course, this is just a small cases, but in the fact in other area for the technical area, I know they also apply the AI technology and their skill into some monetary to monitor some issues. So for example, policing policy is also a good one to use the AI. To be honestly, just a couple of days ago, I received a fine from the policy office due to there is a AI technology to monitor, do you having a very good behavior while you are driving? So you just it's just a kind of just your tires is just a couple sentences on the line, then you receive the ticket. So that's another case as I would like to share. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jose. Yes, AI can really significantly enhance good governance by improving efficiency, transparency. Um, but I would like to highlight a while ago that you mentioned that we must also recognize its limitations, yes, such as the ethical concerns, data privacy risks, uh, and the need for human to oversight to ensure fairness and inclusivity in governance. So thank you very much to our distinguished panel of speakers for this afternoon. For the interest of time, we'd like to apologize for we will not be able to accommodate most of the all of the questions, but we are very much willing to compile all of which and then forward it to our speakers so that we'll keep in touch with you. Again, thank you very much to all who have participated in our open forum. We truly appreciate your insightful questions and meaningful engagement. However, again, due to the time constraint to conclude this segment. For those whose questions are not addressed, rest assured that we will compile and relay them to our esteemed speakers, and the responses will be shared through our official communication channel. Once again, thank you very much for your enthusiasm and participation. Now let us proceed to the next part of our program. And to formally close today's event, we are honored to hear from a distinguished leader in higher education. His commitment to academic excellence and governance has greatly contributed to shaping future leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, a virtual round of applause to the Vice President for Higher Education of Ateneo Naga University, Dr. Alfredo Pabay.
To all resource speakers, Dr. Agus Promosinto, Dr. Masao Kikuchi, Dr. Jose Chu Chen, the members of the panel of reactors, officers, and members of the sponsoring organizations, ASPAC, PSPA, Europa, and our ADNU Graduate School and Center for Local Governance, the faculty and students of public administration, friends from local government units and the public sector, ladies and gentlemen, maray na hapon po. Good afternoon. It is a privilege to deliver a short message at the close of this event dubbed Enhancing Good Governance, a webinar on best practices. The title of this event early on clarified its purpose and objectives. The most welcome surprise, the Asian perspective of the best practices in good governance, courtesy of the esteemed resource persons and sharers from Indonesia, Japan, and Taiwan. The conversation with a panel of reactors helped clarify and amplify the dimensions of best practices. It has been a most productive 2 hours or so of sharing and conversation. I am sure that many of the participants today, especially those in the front lines of public service and governance, were looking forward to knowing a spectrum of best practices and initiatives, adapting them to address related concerns in their localities. That is well and good, as that is one of the objectives of this webinar. We wish you Godspeed in such endeavors to continually improve public governance. I would think that one measure of the quality of a best practice in any area or discipline is its replicability and scalability. However, to some extent, the replicability or scalability of any best practice is also a function of the creativity, persistence, and commitment of adapting implementers and the cooperation of stakeholders. Continuing conversations and sharing will probably also further enrich the experience both of the adapting implementers and other stakeholders or beneficiaries. Feedback sharing to proponents like our resource persons today will also help further refine the best practices and could be an area for further research and collaboration. In closing, I would like to opine this webinar may have opened many opportunities for students, faculty, and practitioners of public administration. And it may well be that webinars such as these on best practices may be sleeper best practices themselves. All it takes is one or two implemented takeaways by our participants. And on that note, I would like to end by once again recognizing the organizers and sponsoring entities, ASPAP, PSPA, EROPA, and the ADNO Graduate School and Centers for Local Governance. Thank you to our participants and partners. Once again, good afternoon.
Thank you very much to the Vice President for Higher Education of Ateneo de Naga University, Dr. Alfredo Fava. As a token of our gratitude, we now proceed with the awarding of e-certificates to our esteemed resource speakers and panel of researchers. Their invaluable insights and expertise have enriched our discussion on good governance, and we deeply appreciate your time and dedication. Let us first read the citation. Ateneo de Naga University Center for Local Governance awards this appreciation to Dr. Agus Pramoncito, PhD, for sharing his time, knowledge, and expertise as a resource speaker during the Enhancing Good Governance, a webinar on best practices in partnership with the Association of Schools of Public Administration in the Philippines Incorporated, or ASPAP Incorporated, the Philippine Society for Public Administration, or PSPA, and the Eastern Regional Organization for Public Administration, or EROPA, held on March 28, 2025 from 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Philippine Standard Time via Zoom cloud meetings with a simultaneous live broadcast via the ADNO Center for Local Governance Facebook page and YouTube channel. Signed, the Director of the Center for Local Governance and the Dean of the Graduate School, Dr. Malu C. Barceliana, PhD. And again, a virtual round of applause to Dr. Agus Pramoncito, PhD.
Thank you very much.
The same certificate of appreciation is awarded to Dr. Masao Kikuchi, PhD. Thank you very much, Dr. Masao. The same certificate of appreciation is also given Dr. Jose Chu C. Chen, PhD. Thank you very much, Dr. Jose.
Thank you.
The certificate of appreciation is also given to Dr. Christopher B. Berce, PhD. Thank you very much, Dr. Chris.
Thank you.
The same certificate of appreciation was also given to Attorney Antonio Ricardo P. Tejada, PhD.
Thank you.
And the same certificate of appreciation is also given to Dr. Alex B. Brillantes, PhD. Thank you very much, Dr. Alex.
Thank you very much. Maraming salamat po.
Once again, thank you very much for your contribution to the success of this event. And to continuously improve our programs, we highly encourage all participants to share their feedback. The evaluation form is now available. We kindly ask you to take a few moments to fill it out, as your insights will help us on future initiatives for this and our upcoming webinars. So you may scan the QR code posted on your screen. And now, as we close today's webinar on good governance best practices, we extend our sincerest appreciation to our speakers, panel of reactors, partners, and participants for making this event a meaningful and enriching experience. May the knowledge and insights shared today inspire us all to uphold the principles of transparency, accountability, and good governance in our respective fields. Once again, thank you for joining us. Until next time, stay engaged, stay informed, and continue advocating for excellence in governance. Diyos mabulos sa inyong gabos. Maraming salamat. Sheshe. Terima kasih. Arigato. Enjoy the rest of the day.